Biden condemns the appalling assault by Hamas as Israel's allies. Washington, AP. President Joe Biden on Saturday decried the appalling assault by Hamas militants, and his administration pledged to ensure Israel has what it needs to defend itself after the surprise attack that drew worldwide condemnation and anger from Israel's allies. Biden made clear in a call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that we stand ready to offer all appropriate means of support, according to the White House. Secretary of State Antony Blinken rushed to the White House for meetings and was phoning foreign counterparts, while Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin spoke with Israel's defense minister. Terrorism is never justified. Israel has a right to defend itself and its people, Biden said in a statement that also warned any other party hostile to Israel against seeking advantage in this situation. Washington's support for Israel's security is rock solid and unwavering, the president said. His Pentagon chief said the U.S. was committed to helping Israel to protect civilians from indiscriminate violence and terrorism, and with its defense needs. Hamas' unprecedented incursion, coming on a major Jewish holiday, was the deadliest attack in Israel in years and was threatening to spiral into a broader conflict. Israel retaliated with airstrikes in Gaza. We are at war, Netanyahu said. The hostilities dealt a significant blow to U.S. efforts to expand the Arab-Israeli Abraham Accords normalization agreements, not only with Saudi Arabia, which has commanded most of the public attention, but also with smaller Arab states. Time equals 400 ms, greater than U.S. Officials say they intend to press ahead but acknowledge efforts are unlikely to bear fruit while there is an active conflict between Israel and the Palestinians. File. President Joe Biden speaks about the September jobs report in the Roosevelt Room of the White House, Friday, October 6, 2023. In Washington, Biden on Saturday decried the appalling assault against Israel by Hamas militants and said the United States was prepared to offer support after the surprise attack that drew worldwide condemnation, anger and shock from Israel's allies. Biden made clear in a call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that we stand ready to offer all appropriate means of support. According to the White House, to Israel, AP photo, Evan Vucci, file, Blinken had been planning a trip to the Middle East, with stops in Israel and Saudi Arabia, later this month, but those plans are now on hold, according to multiple U.S. officials who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss internal administration deliberations. In the immediate term, these officials said the U.S. would work Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, among Arab partners in the region, to try to de-escalate the situation. But given the scale of the Hamas attacks and Israel's military response, the officials said they were not optimistic about any short-term solution. Like Biden, who said the U.S. unequivocally condemns this appalling assault, many world leaders stressed that Israel has a right to defend itself and they pledged solidarity. We believe that order will be restored and the terrorists will be destroyed, Ukraine's President, Volodymyr Zelensky, said in a post on his official Telegram channel. Zelensky, who is Jewish and had relatives who died in the Holocaust, said, Israel's right to self-defense cannot be questioned. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen denounced the senseless attack by Hamas and said, this violence is neither a political solution nor an act of bravery, it is purely terrorism. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said his country stands beside Israel, a sentiment echoed by the Austrian Chancellor, Karl Nehammer. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak tweeted that he was shocked by the attacks and that Israel has an absolute right to defend itself. Time equals 400 ms, greater than in Vienna. The Israeli flag was raised at the Austrian Chancellor's office and Foreign Ministry in a gesture of solidarity. There is no excuse for terror, Nehammer said in a post on X. Mikhail Bogdanov, Russia's deputy foreign minister and a former ambassador to Israel and Egypt, told the state TASS agency that Moscow was in touch with all parties of the conflict, including Arab countries, and urged an immediate ceasefire and peace between Hamas and Israel. Bogdanov did not specify the Arab nations with which Russian diplomats were speaking. Saudi Arabia called for an immediate halt to the fighting, urging both sides to protect civilians and exercise restraint. The kingdom recalls its repeated warnings of the dangers of the situation exploding as a result of the continued occupation, the Palestinian people being deprived of their legitimate rights and the repetition of system provocations against them by Israel, a Saudi foreign ministry statement said. But in Iran, Israel's regional archenemy, members of parliament opened their session Saturday by chanting, "Death to Israel," and Israel will be doomed, Palestine will be the conqueror. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Nasser Kanani said, today's operation created a new page in the field of resistance and armed operation against occupiers, the semi-official ISNA news agency reported. In Lebanon's Palestinian refugee camps, hundreds took to the streets to celebrate the operation by Hamas. In the Borj al-Baragheh camp south of Beirut, residents danced in the streets, while young men in the northern city of Tripoli distributed celebratory sweets to passers-by in the streets. In the Bekaa Valley, pro-Palestinian demonstrators blocked the roads. The country's highest Sunni religious authority called for mosques to broadcast, "God is great," over loudspeakers following afternoon prayers, in solidarity with our people in Palestine. Time equals 400 ms. Greater than Associated Press writers from around the world contributed to this report. File. President Joe Biden meets with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in New York, September 20, 2023. Biden on Saturday, October 7, decried what he called an appalling assault against Israel by Hamas militants near the Gaza Strip, saying the U.S. is prepared to offer support amid the surprise attack that left at least 100 people dead and sparked worldwide condemnation, anger and shock from Israel's allies. Biden spoke with Netanyahu earlier Saturday, and the U.S. president made clear that, "We stand ready to offer all appropriate means of support to Israel." AP photo, Susan Walsh, file. Time equals 400 ms. Greater than file. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky listens as President Joe Biden speaks in the Oval Office of the White House, Thursday, September 21, 2023, in Washington. AP photo, Evan Vucci, file. President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen speaks to the media as she arrives at the Europe Summit in Granada, Spain, Thursday, October 5, 2023. AP photo, Fermín Rodriguez, file. France President Emmanuel Macron speaks during a press conference at the Europe Summit in Granada, Spain, Thursday, October 5, 2023. AP photo, Fermín Rodriguez, file. Austria's Chancellor Karl Nehammer speaks with the media as he arrives for an EU summit at the European Council building in Brussels, Thursday, June 29, 2023. AP photo, Virginia Mayo, file. Palestinians inspect the rubble of a building after it was struck by an Israeli airstrike in Gaza City, Saturday, October 7, 2023. The militant Hamas rulers of the Gaza Strip carried out an unprecedented, multi-front attack on Israel at daybreak Saturday, firing thousands of rockets as dozens of Hamas fighters infiltrated the heavily fortified border in several locations by air, land, and sea and catching the country off guard on a major holiday. AP photo, Fatima Shber. Israeli police officers evacuate a woman and a child from a site hit by a rocket fired from the Gaza Strip, in Ashkelon, southern Israel, Saturday, October 7, 2023. The rockets were fired as Hamas announced a new operation against Israel. AP photo, Safrir Abayoff. Fire and smoke rise from an explosion on a Palestinian apartment tower following an Israeli airstrike in Gaza City, Saturday, October 7, 2023. The militant Hamas rulers of the Gaza Strip carried out an unprecedented, multi-front attack on Israel at daybreak Saturday, firing thousands of rockets as dozens of Hamas fighters infiltrated the heavily fortified border in several locations by air, land, and sea and catching the country off guard on a major holiday. AP photo, Adil Hanna.